Hello, Vibers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight's guest, Don Wood, broke his back, got bitten by a taipan, got nerve damage down the left side of his body, and to heal and get his self-confidence back, did he go on a turmeric-only diet? No. Did he meditate until his buttocks went numb? No. He represented his country in the World Horse Archery contest in Outer Mongolia. No, seriously. Don Woods is currently Australia's national horse archery champion. Now, while I'm telling you a little bit more about him, I'm going to show, not tell, what he does. He lives and works on a farm north of Cooktown. He's actually a really hard chap to get hold of because he's normally out of phone and computer signal. But after months of chasing this dead set, unassuming, modest, quietly spoken, national champion up, I finally got to talk to him. Now, this is a difficult, sometimes dangerous, highly skilled sport. He's a real country boy, and I got to say, I was genuinely happy to talk to him. And I know that you're going to love listening to him as much as I love talking to him. Now, because horse archery is associated with the Mongols, and one of the main reasons they were so effective in battle and had the longest continuous world empire in the land ever, I've named this one Apocalypse Rider.
Hey,
You're like this horseman of the apocalypse himself. Thanks for coming on Northern Vibe first, but what skills does it take riding on a horse and shooting stuff with arrows? Like, tell me, like, what's going through your head with that?
um, shit. To be honest, going through my head, load, shoot, load,
You're like
shoot,
this.
load, shoot. But to be honest, the only thing going through my head is the target. That I'm generally, when I'm going down in a competition, solely focused on what I'm shooting at. I guess you one with the target, you're reaching for the target. And I suppose if if you're good enough, you're going to hit it. But as for skills, well, horsemanship's incredibly important in the sport. It's you got to be able to control your horse with no hands up, hands shooting. Yeah, horsemanship, and then archery. But archery as the other core component, obviously.
Like, I know you said, you were just before, like, you're focusing on the task, but what emotions are going through?
For me, I love the sport because for me, I use archery as almost like a form of not medication, meditation. And so for me, calm. When I enter the run, I am completely calm and focused. The adrenaline rush comes at the end, especially when you line up and shoot a last minute bullseye, or as you leave the run, or you have a really good run. For me, it's a massive adrenaline rush at the end, but as I enter, generally I'm completely calm. That's yeah, it's I'm an anxiety ball, but give me a horse and a bow, and I'll be calm. Yes.
It's funny you should say that, because I would imagine what you'd have to do is really focus and be in the moment. You can't be thinking of anything else. You have to be totally present. And it's really funny because, like, looking at that image, like, you really were a picture of total concentration in that. Do you have like a technique that helps you get into that concentration, or does it just come from years of practice, or?
I think for me, it to a degree it comes from years of practice because I've been shooting bows for over 15 years. So for me, I've often used it to calm my mind as a focus on what I'm doing, and then about not quite 7 years ago when I discovered horse archery, I made the branch onto obviously changing my entire technique to suit the way you need to shoot off horses. But for me, I suppose I had already developed that mindfulness before I entered the sport, and then I carried it through to, of course, when I first started sport, you get anxious, you get nervous about how you're going to go, and then over time, that I suppose I carried that mindfulness over to the horse archery.
I got to say, I find that particularly kind of like interesting because, well, I actually lived in Outer Mongolia, and I've been to a couple of Nadam. I've been to a Nadam festival,
Yeah.
and watched the Mongols do that. It's spectacular to see at the time. But considering that it is a warlike sport, well, I mean, we've made it a sport, but it's the art of war, really. And that's how the Mongols took the longest land empire in the world ever. And yet you associated with mindfulness.
Well, if you lose it in the heat of battle, I suppose that's how you end up dead. So
Yeah.
I suppose it does carry through in quite a relevant way.
Yeah.
You must be mindful of everything going on around you in the heat of battle, or well, someone will come up behind you and that'll be the end.
So, mate, how was it in Mongolia? You got to tell me what it was like, felt competing with the descendants of the people who conquered the largest continuous land empire, the descendants of mighty Genghis Khan himself. What was that like, bro?
To be honest, for starters, the Mongolian people, I don't think I've come across a more friendly people to talk to. Just they were very welcoming, and they know how to be welcoming, like to set up our accommodation, and everything was wonderfully organized over there for us, and we're all it was all at the Genghis Khan hotel, so we've got to stay in yurts. As for competing against them, at first it can be slightly confronting, and then you're kind of in awe that they have a completely different style of horsemanship and techniques to what we standardly use or recognize in the Western world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's something of its own. Yeah.
Well, could you
Uh,
tell me the distinctions? Because look, I rode a couple of the little the little Mongolian ponies over there. They're Przewalskis, I'm sure of it. They're like little Przewalski ponies, and they're and I
but
know
funny enough, you should
I'm
say
not a
that.
full-on horseman, but mate, they're vicious little bastards as well. Like,
Oh, they're mean. We had horses over in Mongolia that were lent to us. So there was four riders for the Australian team, and there was four horses. We had one we named Bob, and we don't know what happened to Bob, but he was angry at the world. You couldn't walk near the front of him or the rear of him. And I'm pretty sure it would get you in the middle if he thought he knew how. He was one we were quite happy to let our Mongolian strappers saddle for us. One of the biggest distinctions is they use a lot more hands. So that they didn't. So talking to them and watching them over there, they didn't use a lot of footwork. It was mainly reins, all in the reins essentially, which interested me because in the sport of horse archery, obviously when you drop the reins, you need your feet to control the horse. So it was an interesting thing, and it did. Having taught their horses to run in a straight line and shoot, put them at a good advantage for some of the straight tracks. But when it got to the hunt track, which involves curving and obstacles, it actually they love that track. The record that it's not one of their traditional tracks. It involves unbarriered places and where you have to guide your horse through a set path. It's called the hunt track, and I love that track. But it put them at a slight disadvantage for that because obviously each time you have to change direction on your horse, you have to pick up the range, which means you're not loading your bow or you're not shooting your bow.
Yeah.
But for the straight tracks, it put them at a good advantage for they could run at speed, and their horses were taught to just stay straight. With the hunt track, I think we all come out of it with a lesson there. They were interested in use of the feet, and yeah, we're interested in some of the things they do. I've never seen anyone lean off a horse. To watch them lean at almost 90 degrees at times off a horse to shoot essentially so you can get as close to your target as possible. It's quite amazing. I don't know how the horses stay upright, being the size that they are. So you need to have control, obviously, but then there is accuracy. You must be able to hit what you're shooting at, but also it is a timed event. It is a speed event. In that case, we drop poundages and bows compared to what was traditionally used for the sake of speed. That makes sense, to be able to draw and knock faster. The faster you can knock and draw your bow, the more time you can have to aim, essentially.
Mate, I had to go at one of the horn bows while I was over there. It was like a bit of a shame job. Well, the Mongols are sitting there giggling away while I'm trying to pull this thing back. And part of it was technique, these guys are making it look easy. I'm just
it's a lifetime of it. I myself can shoot quite heavy poundage bows, but I have been pulling heavier poundage bows for a long time, and traditionally the English archers, it changed their whole skeletal setup. Like, they created nodules on their shoulders for the muscles, for better connection of the muscles on their shoulders. Yeah, they can actually tell their who are archers by the deformities and along their shoulders from just years of pulling the heavy poundage bows.
Mate, have you got any happy snaps of Mongolia you can show us?
So this was at the 2024 Queensland State Championships, actually.
Yep.
This was me. I haven't got too many photos of not me, just because I haven't had time to seek permission from people. This is doing a hunt course, which is one where we have sometimes a series of obstacles. And in this one in particular is a jump. And you have areas where you must control your horse without guidance ropes in places as well.
Yep.
It's probably the funnest course in my opinion. Yeah. You get to see some of the tack I have on there. There's a back quiver for fast shooting. Side quiver, I actually have about 3 quivers on there to try and carry enough arrows for the targets in that course. I think it had 26. Yeah. It's fun.
As many arrows as Legolas in Lord of the Rings. That guy never ran out of arrows.
Except I do run out. I think in Mongolia I started the hunt track with 31, and I think I finished with 3. Well, this was our yurt. This was the Australian camp in Mongolia. And that was our yurt. That's where we stayed for our stay in the 2023 World Championships. This is the Australian team. This was at the end of the World Championships. Had some of the best weather towards the end of the competition, considering we had sleet for day 1. So this is a pair of the Mongolian horses. That at the front there was the horse I was riding, all 13.2 hands of him. I need some action shots. So this was doing the tower.
Ripper.
So this is so I haven't got too many photos of other people just because I didn't have time to seek permission to
fair enough.
Share other things. But this was the tower target, and we'll just have a scroll through here. And so that's the tower target. You're allowed to shoot from your hand or from the quiver. So I normally start with 3 in the hand or 4 in the hand because it's faster, and then when I empty those, I will start from the quiver. I think I was running an average of 7.2 seconds on the tower over there, and I managed an average of 5 arrows while I was in that time. So speed is essential.
Yep.
A couple of action shots coming through. Horse was running a little that's the tower target. So one's as you facing towards you as you're coming down the track, and then one's adjacent to you, roughly 9 meters off the track as you pass by the target, and then there's one so you're doing a back shot as you go. That makes sense.
Yep.
And then a bit of technique here. So as you can see, I'm sort of preparing, drawing, and sort of waiting for the horse's feet to leave the ground to release the arrow, just for the smoothest releases while all 4 feet are off the ground.
And you can feel that?
Yeah, it's quite difficult to do on a horse like him who is running quite so fast, but it is manageable. So, yeah, here's another one. So,
They got a big hearts though, eh? Those horses will dead set run until they drop.
It's yeah, they normally I wouldn't be able to hop on a 13 two-hand horse and ride it, but somehow over there that little horse I was on was had no issue carrying me whatsoever.
Mate, yeah. They got big hearts in them, mate. Like dead set.
Strong. So that mountain that's behind me there, I actually rode up that mountain on that little horse to have a look around, and actually the scenery is beautiful over there.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely beautiful. Those trees that are behind me there were just starting to turn yellow with the start of autumn as we left. Yeah. That's the Genghis Khan statue behind me. I was looking for something in particular here. Here we go. So in your talking about what goes through your mind, on this particular run right here, what went through my mind was shit. Because I lost my stirrup at the very start of the run, as you can see there.
Yeah.
And I had zero chance of actually regaining that stirrup to the run, because as you can see, that was coming in. I'm going through these photos backwards, which is where the confusion's coming from. Yeah, it's I started that run without a stirrup, and I had to finish it without a stirrup, and I actually believe I may have shot a bullseye on without that stirrup on. So obviously, you want to suspend yourself with so when you're shooting, you sort of separate yourself in the middle, and the bottom part of you is keeping you balanced and on the horse, and the top half is swiveling around doing the shooting and taking the arrows. Well, in this case, I couldn't suspend myself with my knees because I had no stirrup. So yeah, I just had to sit down and make the best of it. But yes, that's one run where I didn't feel too calm. I am actually happy while I do the sport, but that's just my concentration face.
Don's happy place.
Yeah, my happy place. Yeah, I don't look happy.
Yeah, see, look at that.
It's just max concentration. Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
That's see, you can see the arrow bending out of the bow there. I believe that's when I broke a knock, and the arrow was going groundwards. But you can see there that I released as that's what I was talking about before, all 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she released. Yeah. Basically floating at that point. This was 2023 Nationals. It's a better example of a jump shot. Yeah. And I actually hit this one. Yep. So this is a Mongolian style bow, but made in Poland, but by a maker over there. It's got a nice birch bark coating on it. So this is designed particularly for me. It's at a competition poundage. Yeah, it's beautiful little bow.
Yeah.
This one here, this is the same style bow, but in a heavy sort of hunting poundage. Just to give a comparison of shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's unstrung, obviously, and yeah, beautiful bow to shoot. There's so many different styles of bows, but in horse archery, it's the only real rule about bows is they must be of a more traditional style, with no shell or place for the arrow to sit on. So the arrow
Right.
must sit upon your hand. Yeah, like so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the biggest rule: no sights and no shells.
So
Yep.
first, I don't know if you've heard of the Battle of Legnica. That was the big battle that the Mongols fought against European chivalry in, I think it was 1240s. I'm not sure of the exact date. 12.
Yeah. Well,
So whose side
1240.
would you be on, mate? Would you be with European chivalry or would you be with the Mongol boys?
Well,
Being a horse archer, it's got to be tough. Your heart's got to go with the Mongols.
I was going to say, now heritage-wise, I should be with the Europeans, but I'd much prefer to be sitting on the back of the horse, shooting at the enemy that way than trying to charge them down, cavalry-rise, and any other way.
Yeah, mate. I'd be with the Horde. I
That's
won't
a
lie.
hard one, isn't it?
I would totally be with the Horde. 100%.
Oh, 100%, considering they won too, you know.
Yeah, they
Everyone wants
tell.
to be on the winning side.
Yeah, they tell them right up that time. Yeah.
And they left one good side of it is they left a long-lasting tradition of horse archery in both Poland and Hungary.
Mm.
So which has continued on into the modern sport even today. So yeah, there's quite a lot of good horse archers from that area.
And final question, mate, and I do this to everybody. I always put everyone on the spot, and I never tell my guests that I'm going to ask them this. It's like, so words of wisdom for the good listeners of Northern Vibe.
Words of wisdom. Try new things. You don't know if you like it until you try it. If that new thing happens to be horse archery, even better.
So if people want to get involved in horse archery, how can they, well, what can they do?
So they can look at the Australian Horse Archery Association website or Facebook page. From there, they can contact their local branch or state branches, and they will have representatives that are listed on the website to who you can contact to find out who's training, or alternatively, look up riding with sticks if you're in further south, New South Wales and Victoria. They're riding school down there that teach medieval combat and horse archery. So yeah, they do jousting and horse archery. It's riding with sticks.
He's a dead set legend, eh? And I edited bits of that out because we got a little bit too chummy there, and but I will put the full interview up there for everybody. That dead set Far North Queensland legend lives in Cooktown. I will put all of the contacts, and I'm doing that right now. I'll put all the contacts in the chat. So if you want to get into this sport, and I recommend it, I reckon it looks absolutely great. I'm going to be giving it a go. Make sure that you jump on there. Thank you so much for tuning into Northern Vibe. Please like, please share. I'll see you guys all next week. Really, really appreciate all of your support and the comments. It's not going unnoticed. I appreciate it.